Good evening, everyone. Hope you're fine. Welcome you all to this series, which is primarily featuring the historical account of the Holocaust, and with reference to the audience, I recommend if you're a student taking up A-level World History, course 9489. This series will be quite informative for you to get hold of the subject, and if you are a keen historian, we all are students here, and as we will progress, we will be exploring all the facts and features which make up this tragic episode. This being the first episode, I'll give you a brief intro of myself. This is Hamid Abbasi. I'm based in Pakistan. Uh, my specialization is world history, international politics. I like to view the power politic between major powers, 19th century, 20th century, and how it moved into the 21st century. This is my specialization. I have a background in international relations, also in film degree. This is to start the introduction. Uh, Getting back to the topic and Holocaust. I wish I had the words to sum up in one line, one para, if that was possible. So I would rather say it was one of the most tragic episode that mankind witnessed in the age of enlightenment. We have passed a renaissance, medieval ages, whether they were in Europe, in Africa, in Asia, wherever you call it. This happening right in front of the eyes. Technology might be different. We have social media today, but in that time we had media that was powerful, that was reporting. However, as we progress, we will see political, historical, and geographical, geopolitical factors all contributed to this tragic massacre of mankind. I rightfully use the word mankind because apart from labeling it as an episode for the Jews and other segments like the Romas or the homosexuals or the disabled under the Nazi regime, it is better to call it a tragedy against mankind. A parallel to this, we do come across when we cover it, that is the Balkan episode in the 90s, 1990s, Srebrenica, these sort of things. That's very tragic, but the magnitude, the impact of the Holocaust is beyond imagination. So this tutorial is only an introduction. I regret for the disturbance in between. It is only an introduction on a broader term to this episode, and as we will move with the course, then we will cover all the subsequent events as per details. So there's a long vested debate with reference to the Holocaust. Uh, what really it was a dilemma once you review this part of history is the relation between anti-Semitism and the Holocaust. Now, if you track anti-Semitism, this is before Christ. You got accounts from 3rd century BC when Alexandria was conquered or ransacked, you can call it anything, by the later generals of Alexander reign, and how the Jews were massacred, and later, owing to their distinctive identity, which was alien to certain forces, so they were unfortunately at the receiving end to the most part of history. You move along, and as a subject to Roman Empire, you do see them being persecuted, and as we move forward toward the 6th century, then we have accounts from modern day Spain, or Hispania as it was called at that time, and that also reflects to their persecution based on the religious basis. And throughout history, like we have the events from the Crusades. Normally, it is remembered for an all-out war between the Christians and Muslims over the territorial domain of Jerusalem and the surrounding areas. But just to add, in the first year of Crusade, the war was fought by the Christian forces with the Jews in the Rhineland, with a common rhetoric that the blood of the Jew is holier than that of the Muslim, and they were at the receiving end. Later on, we see some political forces also gathering up, especially in the case of uh, Spain, the Kingdom of Spain, where the Jews were allied with uh, one of the ruling uh, kingdom, and owing to their placing their closeness to the king, and their grip being into trading, into lending, they were an easy target. And when the power struggle uh, came into existence, so they were the one on the receiving end. Even in England, under Edward I, there was a time, if I quote it right, 1296, when they were expelled for uh, being in the territorial land of England, and for 350 years that decree remained that they were not allowed to live there. So later on, towards 18th century, 19th century, we see episodes in the Kazakh War, that is in Ukraine, modern day Ukraine, and during their rivalry with the Commonwealth of Poland. And then the Jews, owing to their landowner status, they were again at the receiving end, being persecuted, being massacred, and hence we move into the 20th century, right at the turn of the 20th century, uh, when we see the assassination of Nicholas II in Russia. It was also blamed on Jews as a conspiracy, and for that they were at the receiving end. Anyhow, when we move into this phase, which is the Holocaust, generally we refer to the series of events that happened between 1933 and 1945. That was when the Nazi, led by Adolf Hitler and his like-minded people, there are a lot of actors. That's where the streams of school of thoughts which reflect upon Holocaust also remain divided. Was he the only actor, or was he part of the entire episode? This is very important as we will progress. However, my own analysis is that definitely he was the force, but not the only force. As we will progress, we will touch this topic. So, looking broadly, if you compare the Holocaust, what makes it so significant, and the anti-Semitism, I foresee that the notion which we now recall as tragically recall as the final solution, where it was decided that the Jews will be exterminated, they will be wiped out. And I'm not referring to the earlier episode when they were wiped out. That's the main difference in terms of their physical presence at a territorial land. Like in the case of England, they were expelled from the English domain by Edward. This time around, um, you can say, owing to misinterpretation of Darwinism, to social Darwinism, and that entire battle of race holding the attributes which cannot be changed even if you change the religion, these sort of things. This is what triggered this episode and the magnitude that we see. Holocaust came into existence owing to ideas which have no logical understanding. Someone takes a mission of cleansing to safeguard a certain race, which in this case was the Aryan race, which Hitler and his band of, what should I call, band of brothers, band of officers of the Third Reich, they were under the illusion that made it so lethal. And this debate ended with the horrific death of massacre, and I just can't find the precise words to express. That's why one of the labels that you see out there refers to humanity over religion. So the religious difference can be anything. You can be in any part of the world. If you scroll down your pages of history, some 600 to 700 years back, and you will find a difference. But humanity, imagine you don't have the control where you're born. You do not have control over choosing your family. And the victims, they were without any discrimination of age, sex, color. The only identity that they had they were Jews, primarily. Because once you go into the Holocaust itself, you will see other victims as well, like the Romas. They're basically the gypsies. We'll discuss them, and certain other segments like the disabled and homosexual will be persecuted by the Nazis. But the primary victim or the primary actor of the entire episode is the identity which is called Jews. And there is no discrimination. As I referred earlier, you could be 1 year old, 2 years old, and you were systematically driven into a series of events which were bent upon doing one thing, and that was to eliminate you. Even this idea is a Satan in itself, and its executor will, you can choose the words of your own. But if you're a human, and you, it's very important that you review it as an independent analyst without going into the debate of faith. It's the human angle which is very important. One thing I've learned from history is the best way to understand things is to put yourself in the same feet, in the same color, in the same situation, and that will really open up the debate for you. So that was an introduction to the topic. We'll move on with a series of lecture, and the aim is to make sure that we cover all the aspects which led to this episode. One thing that I will make a point for the students here is that if you lock yourself with the term Holocaust between 1941 and 45, where the actual execution took place, the gas, the entire gas chambers, the concentration camp, and these episodes where what you call it, the real execution took place, I believe that will be not so wise. This course very, very rightly targets the catalyst from history, from the events leading up to the 1933 to 1945 era as the nucleus of the course. Uh, there's no issue how they were executed. What led to the execution, it's more like, if I could rephrase it, it's it's the man behind the gun and the mind behind the gun, which is more important in understanding this course rather than the accuracy of fire, the bullet. So that's how it will be defined once we are reviewing it. So for now on, I leave you with this intro and wish you all the best. Looking forward. Thank you very much. Have a good time.